Boom. So for the past couple of years, I've been messing around with my workouts. I spent an entire life, a physical life, whether that be sports, military, the physical training you do with that. I played the CrossFit game for the while. I've done kettlebells. I've done Olympic lifts. I've done a little bit of everything. At this point, I don't have as much competition in my life, so I've gravitated towards jiu-jitsu. I am not good at it. It's one of the first physically sport kind of directed things I've done that I have no proclivity towards. Usually if you drop me into a sport, particularly team sports, I know how to move the ball. I know where the next pass comes from. I know how to do the job. This is not that sport to me. I didn't grow up wrestling. There's something that is just non-intuitive to me. So it's a tremendous struggle, which is why it's absolutely worth it, because the things that are obstacles and struggles in your life, we know are good for you. So I stick with it. This story is not about me, so to speak, when it comes to that. It's just to frame the fact that at a jiu-jitsu gym, studio, dojo, whatever you want to call it, the leader is usually the black belt or the owner, and they're called a professor. Our professor at our gym is a phenomenal guy, just great spirit. He's kind of got that aloha, light, always good attitude, smile on his face, treats everybody with respect, expects good behavior and good performance throughout the program, and he meets you where you're at. If you're a brand new person, he's great. If you're as high into the game, he trains fighters that go on to the highest level of the game. He's just one of those guys. Recently, I didn't realize this, but he hadn't fought competitively in a long time. And that happens. You get to a point where you maybe move beyond your competitive career. He's still prime. I mean, very, very fit, compact, capable competitor, but he hadn't competed in a while. And somebody mentioned, as we're finishing up an afternoon training course class, he said, Scott's actually competing on Friday. I was like, oh, that's awesome. And we talked a little bit about it. It was great. And as we're getting ready to walk out the door, the only people left, the whole class is left besides the kind of core of, I don't know, sort of the toughest guys, the guys that get along the most in some ways. And I remember as I'm leaving, I'm passing by Scott, and I'll leave his name at that. And I say, it just blurted out. I kind of looked at him and wishing him well for the fight. And I said, hey, let's be honest, don't embarrass us. And then I walked out the door. He laughed, I left, I walked out. By the time I'd gotten home, I was upset with myself. I hate cliches. I hate when I catch myself saying something that's just like the standard guy or response or little dig or rub that we give each other to give each other a hard time. It was well-meaning. I was saying that to be fun. I knew he wasn't offended, and I knew he knew that I wasn't saying something rude. I was just giving him a hard time. It still didn't set right in my stomach. And I've talked about this earlier, that we author our own lives. We edit the way we do our life. If you say something you don't like, say it again or say it differently. I called him I slept on it, and then I called him the next morning. I said, hey, brother, I wanted to circle back with you on how I left the conversation yesterday. And he's like, how's that? I said, no, I said, don't embarrass us. And that's not me. I don't even know where that came from. I wasn't trying to show off or posture. It was just, I kind of blurted it out. He's like, no, I didn't take offense. I said, oh, no, I know you didn't, but it's not what I meant particularly, and it's not actually what I think. Here's what I actually thought about as I committed a little energy to the time. When I was in the SEAL teams, there's the senior person to a SEAL team, an actual team, is the commanding officer. The commanding officer is like the CEO of the company, and then there's the command master chief. Them and the senior people of the team are kind of what we call the graybeards. They've been there a while. There's basically three types of leaders when it comes to the way there's tons of leaders, but I'm gonna key in on three to kind of make my point right now. When it comes to the workout, and kind of being part of the team in the way we really only can be, which is when we do our PT, when we do our physical evolutions. The first guy in that group is what I would call the mutant. Right? There's somebody that's been in the teams. I mean, to make command, you've probably been at a minimum 15, 18 to 20-ish years to make that position. And you've taken some tread off the tires. You've probably got injuries, surgeries, stuff you've done doing that job that has beat down on you. So you're probably hurting. But there's the mutant, and that's the person that just is a physical, gifted athlete that is still competing on the run, swim runs, the obstacle courses, the workouts, shooting competitions. You're just like, look at this guy. I mean, he's competing with the 20-year-olds, and the guys love that guy. For sure, that's somebody that commands a lot of respect. That's number one. Number two is the person that you don't want to be, and that's the person that has all that tread off the tires, has maybe put on a little extra weight, bought a couple new uniforms, and skips the workouts. knows he's behind and doesn't participate. Doesn't shoot, doesn't come to the runs, doesn't show up for the big, what we call a monster mash at the end of the week, where we all come together, because in some ways his ego won't let him, or he feels like he's past it or doesn't need to do it. The guys are always wary of that guy. They're like, I don't know. That's not the example we're looking for. The third is my favorite of the group, and that's the same guy. That's the guy, well, the same guy in body. He's hurt. He's got injuries. He's not as fast as he once was. He's not as capable as he once was, but he shows up every time. He might come in last on the obstacle course, but he's still out there grinding, being the best version he can be at that point in his career. The guys love that guy. And there is no excuse. My first commanding officer lost a leg in a parachute accident, and he still worked out and hit the obstacle course every day. It's hard not to love that guy. I shared this conversation with Scott, and I said, look, you're the guy that's still in the fight, still throwing his hat in the ring, in the arena, risking failure to set the example. That's a leader. That's who you want to train with. Ever onward.